Hello everybody, my name is Jacob, I like sports. Welcome back to another edition of JK Sports. Today I finally have another guest on the channel, my boy Andrew here, and the draft is, as we're recording this, a few hours away, and I already came at you guys my first mock draft, so what we're going to do, hours before the first one, I'm looking at ESPN right now, hour 57 as I'm recording this, hopefully we can get it out in time anyways before the draft starts. We're going to go 1 to 32, all the picks in the draft, and start it off. Again, I don't think anybody cares about the first two picks really because we all know what's going to happen. Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson. I assume you have the same?
Yeah, of course.
It's a no-brainer. The draft really starts at 3, and you guys know my opinion what the 49ers should do, but again, I'm now starting to think that they're not going to do what I want them to do, and him the same way, except it doesn't work exactly the same because I think they're going to take Mac Jones and you think they're going to take
Trey Lance.
Which is something that I've been completely against. Why do you think they're actually going to take Trey Lance?
Well, going in today, I had them originally mocked taking Mac Jones, but after the news about Aaron Rodgers wanting out of Green Bay, I do think that hypothetically, if the Packers were to trade Aaron Rodgers to the 49ers, and I'm not just saying they're going to take this, the 49ers are going to make this pick because they want to appease the Packers. I just feel like, hypothetically, the Packers would prefer to have a mobile quarterback like a Trey Lance. But at the same time, I could also see the 49ers going in a direction where they prefer to have a guy that could start now and fits Kyle Shanahan's system when it comes to the short and intermediate passes in the deep ball and just processing all the information onto the field quickly. So for me and for both of us, it can go hand in hand. But as of now, I think that Trey Lance is probably going to be that pick. Also, I don't see the Niners trading up from the lower 10s up into the top 3 of the draft to take a guy like Mac Jones that will be there probably at pick 8, 9, and 10, where they don't have to give up as many draft picks to move up to get him.
And I think that I'm saying they're going to take Mac Jones, but I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think Mac Jones has near the talent of the next two quarterbacks that are come off, which would be Trey Lance, Justin Fields, whichever order you take. I don't think anybody can really question. The talent is a major gap, but I think Kyle Shanahan is kind of sipping his own Kool-Aid enough to the point where he says, give me somebody who's capable, can just make passes. A few years back, and even as recent, I think this offseason, he was looking to trade for Kirk Cousins. He just wants somebody who can get the job done, which, especially for the draft, I don't like. I want somebody who's going to be the best available player. They need a quarterback, but I do unfortunately think they're going to take Mac Jones. And you do make a good point with the Aaron Rodgers thing. Aaron Rodgers just requested a trade, or it just came public that he requested a trade, so it's possible that during the draft or before the draft, he could end up being on a different team, so it would make sense that you want to take the best available quarterback as a potential trade piece if this trade doesn't get done right immediately. But that's enough said with the 49ers pick. I think with the next pick, the Atlanta Falcons, unfortunately as a Dolphins fan, I haven't taken Kyle Pitts. You haven't taken
Kyle Pitts as well.
Yeah, no-brainer. He's the best available player in the draft after Lawrence. Just need a quarterback badly enough. They got rid of Sam Darnold. He would be the Jets pick probably if they still want to keep Sam Darnold. However, he's the best offensive weapon on the board, even though for some reason you still don't love tight ends.
It's not that I don't love tight ends. I don't believe in tight ends being drafted in the first round. And everybody right now in the comments section, spam who was the last tight end that was drafted in the first round that was good.
I don't care. Good players are good players. I don't care. That's simple as. Good players are good players. Don't look at the history too much.
I'm not hating on Kyle Pitts. I can make an exception for him because he is a wide receiver playing in the middle of the field.
He's very versatile. You can have him run almost any route you want, and especially if you're probably going to lose Julio Jones because their cap situation is so poor that they could really end up losing him just because of the fact that they can't sign their free agents. They don't have enough money to sign their free agents. So that could be a casualty, and replacing him with a guy, Kyle Pitts, is really good. Now, moving on to the 5th pick with the Cincinnati Bengals, I have them going wide receiver Ja'Marr Chase. I don't think that's necessarily the smart move. I think the smart move is to get the best offensive lineman on the board so somebody like Chase Young doesn't come at Joe Burrow's kneecap again. But Joe Burrow's pounding the board enough for him that they might actually end up going Ja'Marr Chase here, maybe offensive line later in the draft. Who do you have them taking?
I also have them taking Ja'Marr Chase. If this was 2 weeks ago, it would have been Rashawn Slater for me. But seeing how hard Joe Burrow has been pushing and the reports coming out that the Bengals are eager to take Ja'Marr Chase, I think that that's what's going to happen, and don't count out the fact that the Bengals do have a high second round pick, and this is a really deep offensive line draft, so they could always just grab a guy like Samuel Cosme in the second round to start off.
Yeah, I don't think I think they should go after the best offensive lineman available, but like we both said, if your quarterback's pounding the table enough, or somebody who's already played with, somebody who is undoubtedly at this point the best receiver in the draft, it just looks like the decision the Bengals are going to make. And unfortunately, as us Dolphin fans, that leaves us with the two best offensive weapons coming off the board. So after this, it's a big question. Do you go offensive lineman? Do you go with the next best receivers? Who is the next best receiver? And for me, I have the next best receiver being Jalen Waddle out of Alabama. Devontae Smith has those size issues. I think that Jalen Waddle, outside of the injury, would have been the best receiver coming out of Alabama this year. Who do you have the Dolphins taking?
I have the Dolphins taking Penei Sewell from Oregon. This is
not a bad selection.
Yeah, no,
not a bad pick.
Not by any means. It's flip flop. Whoever the Bengals take, the Dolphins will get the choice of the next player up.
Oh, how are you?
Sorry.
Hey, Missy, hang out with them?
We can just edit this. Moving on to pick. Okay. Moving on to pick number 7, I have the Detroit Lions going with the player that he just had going for the Miami Dolphins, Penei Sewell. Jared Goff's going to need some protection. I would have had him taking a receiver here. Shout out to Andrew's dog in the background. Absolutely great girl. I'm going Penei Sewell, offensive lineman out of Oregon. Who do you have him going with?
We're on 7. So for pick 7, I actually have the Detroit Lions trading their selection to the New Orleans Saints. I have, going into details, the Lions getting pick 28, the Saints
You
3rd.
really thought this out, didn't you?
Yeah. The 2022 first, a 2022 fourth, and a 2023 second. And I have the Saints selecting Mac Jones from Alabama. There was reports coming out that the Saints have been trying hard to trade into the top 10 to draft a cornerback. But there was also another report out saying that if there was one quarterback on the board that was still there that they really liked, they would take him. And in my personal opinion, I believe that quarterback is Mac Jones. He's very accurate with the football, and that's the kind of guy that Sean Payton would like, guys that have a high understanding of offense and could read a defense well, has a solid arm and doesn't turn the ball over that much, and I just think that he's a great fit with the Saints.
Similar to the 49ers, though, I don't think it's necessarily a good idea to trade up that high into the draft to take somebody who isn't the most talented quarterback still in that draft. With him taking Trey Lance earlier on, and, well, for me, having Mac Jones already gone, either way, it still leaves Justin Fields in my mock, and both Trey Lance and Justin Fields in his mock. I feel that's just a better idea to try to get the best overall prospect rather than trading somebody who you think fits your system. I think that the system fit is a little bit overrated. If you have a good enough coach who can make up a good enough playbook, you can get the most talented guy in there and find a way to make them work best to their own personal skill sets. That leads me to taking, with the number 8 pick, the person who I think if the Saints are going to trade up, it would be for them. I have Trey Lance finally coming off the board to the New England Patriots, which I bite my tongue. I hate to say that out loud. I hate Bill Belichick being handed their next franchise quarterback, but I got them trading up, making that move for Trey Lance. Who do you have going with the number 8 pick?
Well, I have the Panthers staying at 8 and selecting Rashawn Slater, tackle.
You gotta protect him. You gotta protect Darnold.
You have Sam Darnold. I don't see the point of trading or drafting a quarterback when you just traded for another quarterback from another team. I understand, you want that insurance, and you also just traded Teddy Bridgewater to Denver, so you do not have another quarterback on the roster that could be Sam Darnold's backup. But I do think that they're going to try their best to at least go this year with Sam Darnold. If it doesn't work out, he leaves as a free agent and you start fresh next year. I don't think that there's any rush for Matt Rule to draft a quarterback right now. Draft a tackle and fill up your offense with weapons and protection for Sam Darnold now. And if he works out, you have protection for Sam Darnold in the future. If not, you have an offensive line for the next quarterback that comes
and you give Sam Darnold the best opportunity to succeed, which is something we didn't get to see him do with the Jets. You already have receivers, Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore? DJ Moore there. Yeah. I forgot which one it was.
They actually have David Moore too now. But
both, so there you go. Multiple Moores. You lost Curtis Samuel for agency, but you also help him out by getting that offensive lineman, which makes a lot of sense in this instance. And if I were to have selected for the Panthers, I would have gone with the same selection. However, I think the Patriots are more needy, and you can still get a good enough person later on in the draft. The Patriots have pick 15. One guy you did just bring up though was, like I said, I can edit it. It's fine.
You wanna go back? You're crying. No?
So one guy that Andrew here just mentioned was Teddy Bridgewater, and that he was just traded to the Denver Broncos. And that being said, I still have him going on and taking a quarterback with pick 9. Pick 9 for me, I still have Justin Fields finally coming off the board after most people a few months ago before the season ended. He was most people's quarterback too. And to be honest, I still have a little place in my heart that still says he is my quarterback too, but I do have him finally coming off to the Broncos at pick number 9. Who do you have the Broncos taking?
Yes, I actually do not have the Broncos selecting at 9. I have them trading their pick to the Cardinals, picking up a third-round pick and getting a fifth-round pick next year. And I have the Cardinals trading up to draft J.C. Horn. I have them trading up because they desperately need help at corner. They don't have Patrick Peterson. They only have Byron Murphy.
Trash.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say trash.
Trash.
But I mean, he's their number 1 on their depth chart as of right now. They also have Malcolm Butler, who is trash.
Trash.
So they move up. They fill a big need.
I just call him trash.
Yeah. Well, they fill a big need.
Tell me he doesn't look like Chris Paul. It's Kyle Pitts with a mask on. He looks like Chris Paul. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. They fill that big need at corner. I know they also have hole on the offensive line, and some people believe that they would trade up to draft a guy like Jalen Waddle, who they're really high on. I don't see it.
That'd be disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, that would be disgusting, but they have AJ Green. I mean, it's not 2013, but they have AJ Green now.
Injury prone AJ
Andy
Green.
Isabella, wide receiver 1. Just kidding.
Oh, okay, Colin Coward.
Yeah, this is a deep wide receiver draft. You could
get somebody in the second round, the third round.
Exactly.
It doesn't really matter as much.
You want to get a guy in J.C. Horn whose draft stock has risen up in a way has kind of affected Patrick Surtain a little bit. I don't have it affecting him, but some people think that Surtain is too clean of a prospect, whereas
which is it's a very fun thing to say about somebody.
Yeah.
He's too
you
clean.
Penalize a guy for being good when you see a guy like J.C. Horn who has a lot of potential. And some people could think that, Surtain's already peaked, he can't get better, but you could get a guy like J.C. Horn that has room to grow and could become...
And I think we both think that Surtain is a great player, which is why, to number 10, the Cowboys, we both have Patrick Surtain going. It's really a toss-up between who you want to take. I like both of them. I think they both can do great things in the draft. What do they do really well? I don't know, because I don't watch enough college defense to say much. However, Cowboys just need to go defense somewhere. If you want to say one can go linebacker, I wouldn't necessarily agree with saying Michael Parsons because they already have Leighton Vander Esch. They still have
Jalen Smith.
There you go. So it just makes sense to take the best non-linebacker available in Patrick Surtain.
Yeah, and they don't really have any capable number 1 starting type corners on that roster. They lost Byron Jones last year.
Yeah, never replaced him.
Awuzie left to go to the Bengals this year. They have Jordan Lewis, who's decent, but he's not anything special, and they have Trayvon Diggs, who they drafted in the second round last year. So you get a guy in Patrick Surtain, who I think this is probably the 3rd safest player that's coming off the board in terms of making a mock draft. I feel like he's a lock to go to Dallas at number 3.
Or number 10. Number 3, yeah. Okay, Lord knows how long this video's gone so far. So from here on out, we're just gonna rattle off 5 at a time. So right now we're going 11-15. For me, it starts with the Giants going Devontae Smith, helps Daniel Jones out for 1, gets another weapon, stops the Eagles from drafting him because Lord knows the Eagles need an offensive weapon. Then I have the Eagles then taking Rashawn Slater, which you had go to the Panthers. If the Panthers stay in that spot, he's not going to be available, and they'll have to manage something else. However, I move on to number 13. Chargers taking arguably the best offensive lineman still available. You could go Darisaw. You could go. I'm going for Elijah Vera Tucker, guard out of USC. Next 14, the Vikings really need defensive help. That offense is not a problem. You got Justin Jefferson. You still have Adam Thielen. Kirk Cousins is good enough game manager, I guess we could say. So help that defense out. First edge off the board in a pretty good edge class, especially for the first round. I'm going Kwity Paye out of Michigan, and then as I previously mentioned with Elijah Vera Tucker, for the for sure next best offensive lineman available on the board. Panthers still get offensive lineman as well as getting extra picks. They take Christian Darisaw. Sir, What is your 11 to 15?
Okay, so at 11, we were in agreement that the Giants will take Devontae Smith, as you said, get another receiver. Nothing bad about having depth at the receiver position. A lot of potential and could help out Daniel Jones.
Agreed.
Eagles,
Daniel
Jalen
Jones
Waddle.
sucks. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Jalen Waddle, speaking of teams that suck, the Eagles get another wide receiver because they haven't had any wide
EDP.
receivers. Yeah. Having fun in jail right now, probably.
Oh, what a pedophile.
Chargers, Christian Darrisaw. One of the only positions that the Chargers really need to address is the offensive line. So they get one of the best tackles in the draft.
Fair.
14, I have the Vikings trading back to 19 with Washington, and I have the Washington football team selecting Justin Fields. Get a
Finally
quarterback.
off the board. Makes sense.
Yes, gets to sit behind Ryan Fitzpatrick and develop. He has the intangibles and traits. I think the only thing he really has to fix, aside from the off-the-field medical concerns,
Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
is his delivery and his release point when he's throwing the football. But other than that, that could be a good fit, and he is not going to be this massive bust that everybody thinks that he's going to be.
I think he's been so critiqued, partially in fact that he went to Ohio State. Yes, Blue, I know, you agree. I know. We're on the same page. Justin Fields has been over-critiqued. There's the stereotypical Ohio State quarterbacks never pan out in the NFL. There's the, unfortunately, maybe it's still a little bit of the black quarterback stigma. I hope not into play. But I just think we've seen a lot of him, just like Trevor Lawrence. You've seen recently a lot of people start to critique Trevor Lawrence, which I don't think anybody in their right minds would say he's not the first quarterback on the board. However, everybody's critiquing him just because we've seen so much about him recently, talked about him so much recently. I still think he might be my second quarterback, but he's got to go somewhere. And going to Washington, that makes that division a little bit more out of sight because Washington was a young team with a good defense that helped them get to the playoffs last year. If you add somebody like Justin Fields to play quarterback for the next who knows however many years, you could see a regular playoff appearances out of the Washington football team, which I don't know if I've ever said that my entire life. Going on now to pick 16 through 20, and it's a funny way how this works because he had the Cardinals trading up for J.C. Horn. Well, I got him staying put and getting J.C. Horn. They need defensive help. In my other mock draft, I had him going with Christian Barrymore. Just a matter of preference. Do you want to help the defensive line? Do you want to help the secondary? You lost Patrick Peterson, who was later on in his career. Go back with the secondary. Get J.C. Horn. I have my second trade here. I feel like the Raiders need a lot, especially on the offensive line. And I believe the offensive line might be a little too high here. So I have them trading back with, let's just pick a team. Let's call them the Jets. Jets come up and get Micah Parsons, who still is on the board in my mock draft, and I believe is still on the board with yours. Somehow at pick 17 that he's still available. So just come up and getting a great defensive player as his son. He's really cute. Is on the board is on the screen with him. Is that him?
Yeah.
Okay. As he's on the screen right now.
Oh, wait, no.
Is that
Yeah,
him?
it is. It's
Okay, that's him. Yeah,
Parsons.
because they're talking about his kid. I was like, hey,
Yeah.
that's a cute kid. Light-skinned babies are always cute. So, Jets trading out for Micah Parsons. Now the Dolphins, I still have them taking Jalen Phillips out of Miami, coming down to Miami. We need edge help. You could go running back here. I don't think running back's necessarily a good idea to go in the first round this year. So I got him going edge, Jalen Phillips. Washington football team, my fourth receiver off the board, still being Elijah Moore, help out Ryan Fitzpatrick. And then number 20, this young man, Chicago Bears, taking receiver, help out the greatest quarterback of all time, Andy Dalton, taking Rashad Bateman.
Wouldn't be that mad about that.
Yeah, helps him out at least. I mean, QB1, am I right?
Yep, you are right, 100%. Okay, so 16, remember I had the Broncos trading with Arizona, so this is Denver's pick. I have them selecting Caleb Farley. I know he has health concerns with his back, but the Broncos, they could squeeze in the risk of taking a cornerback. He doesn't really have to play right away because they picked up Kyle Fuller from Chicago, who they finessed. Got him from nothing.
Yeah, that was bad.
And for really no money, but yeah they get Caleb Farley. He'll fit in there and fit in well with Vic Fangio's defense.
Vic Fangio.
And if you look at it,
Vic
Denver's team, their defense is looking great on paper, and their offense is not too shabby. The quarterback position is something that they might look into addressing. I'd say Aaron Rodgers might be somebody they may look into trading for, but only the future could tell that. 17, I got the Raiders drafting Tevin Jenkins. You never know what the Raiders will do. They always just seem to go off the board and taking guys that are projected to be 4th round picks and taking them in the first round, like Damon Arnett last year. But Tevin Jenkins screams a guy that John Gruden would love. He's very, very, very physical, and he just has Richie Incognito vibes. Not locker room cancer, but
Screaming the N-word as teammates.
Yeah. But he's very physical, and he's a player that the Raiders can keep for the next 5 years or so. Miami, this would be my favorite pick in the draft if this was to happen. I have the Dolphins getting Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, linebacker, hybrid safety.
Is there any Notre Dame stuff in the background?
No,
it's not.
No,
Okay.
Exactly. But he does everything well. He's a good cover linebacker. He could rush the passer. He could play safety. He reminds me a lot of Kyle Van Noy and Isaiah Simmons. Brian Flores would have a great time scheming this guy and having him run around the middle of the field for the next 5 or so years.
I wouldn't mind him.
He'd be a great fit there. I have the Vikings
I forgot about that.
Elijah Vera Tucker, protect Kirk Cousins. Something that they seem to forget to do is spending high draft picks on offensive linemen. So they finally get one here.
Blue really likes that pick.
Yeah, she loves Elijah Vera Tucker. Big Elijah Vera Tucker girl. And then at 20, I have the Bears taking Ian Book out of Notre Dame. Just kidding. I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised if that's what they did because they don't. Ryan Pace does not know what he's doing. But I have them taking Greg Newsome II out of Northwestern. But the Bears could go any way here. But like I said, I just have them taking a cornerback, which is now a big positional need since they just decided to trade or cut Kyle Fuller for no reason at all to save cap space instead of trying to extend the guy. But
yeah, no, those I think those are all some fair picks there. I think all fair picks there. So moving on to 21 to 25, we have first the Chicago Colts and Chicago Colts. Do you guys know they moved the franchise and they traded? The Bears were confused. They were trying to trade for Carson Wentz, but what they actually did was they traded cities with the team who ended up getting Carson Wentz. Almost did it again. Indianapolis Colts, they don't have a lot of needs. I got them going edge. Jason Uwe from... We don't know. Okay, cool.
I don't remember what Jason Uwe went to.
Titans need help on defense with the pick number 22. I got him cornerback Greg Newsome. Caleb Farley was your next corner off the board. That back issues do concern me, and I think they're going to concern a few teams. So I'm going with Greg Newsome to help out that corner. Raiders, I mentioned that. I believe that was too early to select another offensive lineman where they were at with pick number 17. Perfect. Now they're at 23. I got them taking Walker Little, which I somehow mispronounced Little on my paper here. Coming from Stanford, offensive lineman. They cut every offensive lineman they had for some reason. So getting that offensive line help. And you see Aaron Rodgers wants to go there still? What?
Yeah, I don't
Russell
know.
Wilson,
Russell
Wilson and Aaron Rodgers both want to go to the Raiders even though they have no offensive linemen and very little weapons.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just the market.
I don't understand. Okay, pick number 24. I don't think picking running back is a smart idea in the first round for this draft. However, I do think it's going to happen. Najee Harris picked 24 to the Steelers. I would love him to fall to 36 for the Dolphins. However, in this, I do have him going to the Steelers. And Jaguars, with the pick they got from a few years ago from the Rams, I have him taking Trayvon Moehrig, maybe? Something like that. Safety, TCU, first safety off the board. Don't usually see safeties going that high in the draft. So he's a very talented player. Have him going to the Jaguars at 25.
Nice. Okay, for me, I got the Colts selecting Kwity Paye, edge rusher. Need to solidify that defense, get another pass rusher on the opposite side of DeForest Buckner. Don't really have a ton of needs. This is really kind of a luxury pick for the Colts.
Yeah, they need edge. That's maybe.
Yeah, but I would not. The Colts are a team that aren't afraid to move back or move up on the draft board. So we're getting to the point in the draft where you know that every team from like pick 21 to 32, teams maneuver up and down to get guys that they like.
Happens.
So it's hard to predict trades for that. So I would say look out for the Colts to maybe trade back, but I do think that they would take Kwity Paye, edge rusher from Michigan. The Titans at 22 take Asante Samuel Jr., the cornerback from FSU. Majority of the Titans coaching staff and some front office staff or from the Patriots. Mike Vrabel actually played with Asante Samuel Jr.'s dad. I know that's kind of meaningless in a way. But they need the help at.
We're pecking at straws here, guys.
Yeah, but I mean,
We'll take what we can get.
they need the help at cornerback. They let Malcolm Butler go, and they also let Adoree Jackson go. So they actually need the help at cornerback. So I think that's a big positional need there. 23, the Jets finally stopped Greg Russo's slide. Reminds me a little bit of Eric Armstead, who was with Robert Saleh in San Francisco. I could see him being a productive player for the Jets there. 24, I also have Najee Harris going to the Steelers. Again, not a big believer in drafting running backs in the first round, but if you're going to win with Ben Roethlisberger, you need to have a productive running game, which they're not going to. They're going to need a productive running game, and Najee Harris is the best running back on the board for me. And I think he'll help out that team mightily. 25, I also have Trevor Moehrig, the safety from TCU, going to Jacksonville. They have no help in the secondary whatsoever other than C.J. Henderson.
What you said.
But they went Henderson last year. I'll say they'll go Trevor Moehrig in the first round and help out their safety position. And then at 26, I have Jalen Phillips, the edge rusher, going to the Browns.
You're jumping the gun with 26, are you?
Oh, sorry.
He's a little excited there.
Yeah.
No, you already started. Go ahead. 26.
Okay,
I'll start at 26 too, but you can finish off with 26.
Yeah, I have Jalen Phillips going to the Browns. They need to solidify their pass rush. I know that there's concerns with concussions, and some people don't think that he's all invested on playing football. I know a lot of people say that football has to be your first love, or you're not going to be successful in the NFL. A lot of guys play the sport that are good that might not necessarily love it, but they want it to make money. Yeah, so I think that this is another guy if you can squeeze 5 years out of him, you get a pass rusher. Jadeveon Clowney just signed there, but he's overrated. He's trash, and he's not going to be there for more than 1 year. They don't have the salary cap, so they get a pass rusher. They have 4 years if they want the 5th-year option. They have him on a cheap deal. And it's kind of a little bit of a luxury pick as you can improve your defense again.
Yeah, Browns, again, similar to the Colts, they don't have a lot of needs, especially after getting Clowney, who hopefully can provide enough. They're going to get Grant Delpit back after he was out for the entire year last year. The defense was pretty good, good enough last year to get them to where they were in the playoffs, and hopefully Baker can progress. And I'm surprised Odell Beckham's still on the team. I would expect him to be traded. Yeah. Maybe today, draft day, he does get traded, but it just seemed they did better without him. So for me, I do have the Browns also taking defense. I got taking Christian Barmore. Defensive line at Alabama. Defensive line is maybe one of the few positions you could say. You got Denzel Ward at corner. You got, who did I just say? Grant Delpit, safety. You got Clowney on the edge. You have Myles Garrett on the other edge. On defense, you're pretty set. Defensive linemen, I don't even know who the defensive tackles are, so that's why I have them saying going with Christian Barmore. Ravens finally helping out Lamar Jackson by getting Terrence Marshall. Sammy Watkins isn't enough. Hollywood Brown is so hit or miss every single week. You don't know what you're going to get out of him. And if you want that passing game to have some substance, go out, get a receiver. Terrence Marshall. Now, funny enough, I do have the Saints taking another quarterback. Just like you had them trading up for a quarterback. I have them taking, go Gators, Kyle Trask, Kyle Pitts quarterback. I don't believe he's actually the next best quarterback in the draft. For me, that would be Kellen Mond. However, similar to how you said Mac Jones fits their system best, I feel if you're not going to trade up, maybe it's not that big of a difference between Kellen Mond and Kyle Trask. I have him going Kyle Trask. I picked number 28. Also, a lot of teams like taking quarterbacks at the end of the first round. You get that extra 5th-year option with them where you don't have to pay them the big bucks yet. Moving on to pick number 29, we saw Aaron Rodgers is asking to be traded basically today, or in days past, and it's coming out today. Well, if you want to make him happy, get him a receiver. I got the second Moore coming off the board. Rondale Moore from Purdue going to the Packers. Just get the guy more healthy. You want him to stay. If you want him to be happy. If you don't want him to go host Jeopardy every single week, get Rondale Moore. Get a receiver. Number 30, the Bills. I finally have Caleb Farley coming off the board. If he can stay healthy, the fact that he slid down always to 30 for the Bills is a tremendous help. A few months ago, before the back surgery, we were arguing the 3 best corners. Who is it? J.C. Horn, Patrick Surtain, Caleb Farley. A lot of people have said Caleb Farley, so I have him finally coming off the board. His talent is good enough that if he stays healthy, he can be who's there? Trey what's their starting corner? Tre'Davious White. Yeah. Having Caleb Farley at his skill set next to Tre'Davious White, or on the other side of the field is Tre'Davious White, that'd be incredible. And if he doesn't work, oh well, they're already a good team that already got to the AFC Championship. Ravens got another pick now because of the trade they just made with the Kansas City Chiefs. Now that I think about it, they probably should have got an offensive line here because they traded one of the best offensive linemen in the league to your competitor. But similar to how you finally had the sliding down Gregory Rousseau, I do now have Gregory Rousseau coming off the board. His pro day was really weak. I didn't watch it. I'm just being told this. He finally comes off the board. Edge is a position that they could go for. And the Buccaneers, who have found a way to retain everybody.
It's ridiculous.
They're drafting backups in the first round. What do you need? Last year they drafted Tristan Wirtz, offensive lineman. I think maybe they're going to go down a similar route. You can't have enough offensive linemen to protect the greatest quarterback of all time. So I have him going Tevin Jenkins to round out my first round. Please end this off for us, Andrew.
Okay, so I got Baltimore selecting Rashad Bateman, wide receiver. Finally help Lamar Jackson.
I would love